Take a look at this right here. Read this. Put it on the screen. What do you think it is, Mr. Goat? I will make the decision soon. Quoting Roger Federer in the title of this headline to make it even more sneaky. Roger Federer confirms he's on the verge of making retirement plans. This is the definition of fake tennis news. Today on Coffee Break Tennis, you may have seen that headline a couple of days ago. Many people were texting me, messaging me. I was hearing from alarmed people all across the tennis world. Oh no, Matt, can you believe Federer's going to retire soon? We will debunk that. Plus, we've got Nick Kyrgios at it again, lashing out at the latest person to say something bad about him. We'll talk about that. We'll look at the Laver Cup schedule and talk about when Coffee Break Tennis will be on talking about Laver Cup. And finally, Novak Djokovic does something that's not going to make him more likable, I don't think. All that on a quick edition of Coffee Break Tennis. Welcome to Coffee Break Tennis, the fastest growing tennis talk show in the world. I am your host, Matt Bradshaw, your tennis friend, tennis expert, tennis guru, lover of the game. On this show, there are no unforced errors. There are no double faults. There is just tennis excellence. The people who come here enrich their lives and grow their tennis IQ incrementally each and every minute they watch of this show. So no unforced errors here, no double faults, but we've got a few of them right here. I think these might be some of the worst I've ever seen since I started doing Coffee Break Tennis. This is journalistic malpractice. So you saw tennis365.com. They're going on our naughty list. Tennis365, right with The Express, along with tennishead.net and novanight.com. I believe that is a Serbian news outfit that covers tennis sometimes. So let's just run through this. So if you were tricked, and I'm sure most of the Coffee Break Tennis fans out there were not tricked by this, but just in case you were, let's go through this article and spot the phoniness. So here's what they do. They follow the Express model. Your news is a quote from a tennis player taken from somewhere. Ironically, they quote the ATP Tour at the top of this Federer on the verge, admits he's on the verge of making retirement plans, tennis365.com article. It's from September 17th, just a couple days ago. They put the ATP Tour on top, like officially sourced. He is going to retire. Roger Federer, so just like Express, in the beginning, they put their characterization, their spin, usually not very well written, I may add, at least with the Express. They put their little spin on top, and then they throw a quote on the bottom. And a lot of times what you see with tennis news websites, because let's face it, we don't have, that's why we need this show, Coffee Break Tennis. We don't have the best tennis news coverage out there. It's kind of hard to get all the tennis news in one convenient place like we do here on this great show. So Roger Federer says he is sure he will play until Wimbledon 2020, but has refused to commit to any longer than that for now. So at least in that sentence, they're a little bit accurate, but they just hit us with this headline that he confirms he's on the verge of making a retirement plans. It's totally false. That happened nowhere. No one on Federer's team, Federer himself, no one who's a friend of Federer, no one who heard from a friend who has a friend who's a friend of one of Federer's coaches or something like that. Nobody said anything like that. Yet that got picked up by 3 different places in the tennis media, and plenty of people out there were worried that it was true. The 38-year-old has failed to win any of his last 6 Grand Slams as time appears to have finally caught up with him. That's great journalism right there. Great job. And speaking to the Swiss press, he admits that there has been discussions about when and how to bring his career to an end. Totally not true. Nothing in this article that is actual news supports that sentence, which is pure opinion. Fantasy, you could say, with the Tokyo Olympics featuring prominently in his thoughts. That's actually not the case. Federer's kind of made it sound like the Tokyo Olympics might not be that big of a deal to them, that they're undecided. I mean, that's what this quote is about, whether or not he'll play the Olympics and whether or not he'll play Cincinnati, or it's basically, if I play the Olympics, what do I cut out from my U.S. Open prep? That's really what the news story is, but not how these 3 headlines took it. Inside myself, I decided that I want to play until Wimbledon, said Federer. And then Federer goes on to say, now I'm busy about making a choice for Tokyo. I already discussed about it with my team and asked how they see it. I even spoke with Mirka. That does sound like it's something serious, like maybe retirement, but again, there's nothing here indicating that. I'll definitely take a decision over the next weeks, just saying I spoke with Mirka about it, so it's very important. For me, it's just important to have a stretch of tournaments and enjoy a break, have enough time for my family. That doesn't mean enjoy a break, like a retirement, a break from tennis forever. Federer's heading to South America in November to play some EXO matches, but he has vowed not to let it interfere with his preparations for what could be his last season. Again, opinion, not real news. Quote from Federer, I said I can do it only if I have a 2-week break, so I discussed about it with my fitness coach, Pierre Paganini. I normally start the preseason, and this is about something totally different compared to Tokyo. Now they're talking about playing the ATP Cup. So they took Federer commenting on two totally different things and stuck it together like it's all some kind of, I don't know, he's deciding how much break he'll have before he finally retires. And the article, let's go to another one. So you get the idea here with tennis365.com. What's the spin from the tennishead.net blog by Michael Graham? Shame on you, Michael Graham. Roger Federer has revealed he has plans to continue playing until Wimbledon in 2020, but is yet to make a decision about what comes after that. Federer, this is standard operating procedure. Federer does this every year. You know what he's doing up until a certain point. And we don't even know what... I'm sure he hasn't fully set the schedule until Wimbledon. Who knows if he's going to play Dubai or not. Time finally appears to be catching up with the 38-year-old. They do it again. They can't resist. With him beginning to wilt a little more in Grand Slams and crashing out of the U.S. Open earlier this month with a back complaint. What about Djokovic's injury complaint? That seemed a lot more serious than the one with Federer. At least Federer finished, right? And what about Wimbledon? That's wilting? Going to the finals and having 2 match points in a freaking 4-hour-long match? What? This is the problem you have when non-tennis people are doing tennis media, tennis news coverage, who don't know anything about tennis. Never played it, haven't watched it closely enough and long enough to really know what they're talking about. However, with the ATP Cup set to debut in 2020 and Olympic Games in Tokyo to look forward to, Federer says he certainly won't be making 2019 his last season. Well, that's refreshing. At least that's something in the article that isn't totally false. And then they do the same quotes about Federer spoke to the wife. He decided he's going to play until Wimbledon. With the Grand Slams out of the way for 2019, Federer's thoughts have already turned to preparing for 2020. He has some tentative plans to play in South America, blah, 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 blah. And then they do it's like the same exact thing. All right, let's move on to the next one. Novi Night. The living tennis legend Roger Federer, who is still going strong on the courts, has hinted that he is already considering giving up his active career. He did no such thing. He is confident he will play until Wimbledon next year, but is not sure about it afterwards. And then they do the same exact quotes. Every year, Roger Federer is not quite sure how he's going to schedule his tennis until after Wimbledon. The first part of the year, I mean, we're getting way ahead because don't forget, one of the quotes in that article is Roger Federer saying, yeah, I'm going to play ATP Cup. And one thing they cut out was something he also said was, I don't have to be fully prepared for the ATP Cup because my goal, meaning just like he did in 2017 when Federer, he played Hopman Cup in 2017 and he lost. I think he lost to Sasha Zverev or somebody like that. He lost. He wasn't fully ready yet. Well, he went to the Australian Open, then he was fully ready and he won it. And that's what really matters is the Aussie Open. So Federer is basically, everything sounds like business as usual for Team Federer. And then they know for sure, he's basically saying they know what their schedule is up until Wimbledon. After that, this is what the whole story is about. Will he play Tokyo or not? Will he play the Olympics in Tokyo in 2020? That's the big question mark, not whether or not Federer's retired. I mean, I don't even want to say it. Even people who Mr. Gold, clean up this coffee spill right away. Run out of time. I got to go teach tennis in a few minutes. But even some people who I respect very much who know their tennis get scared and were worried about Federer retirement thanks to this journalistic malpractice. So we've taken care of that. Let's move on to Nick Kyrgios, who, if you'll remember, I did a video a long time ago where I superimposed Trump hair on Nick Kyrgios. Some people got very mad at me. Listen to this news story and tell me Nick Kyrgios is not very Trumpian. He's a very Trumpian guy. He lashes out at people on Twitter, on social media, who say not very nice things about him. That's what he does for fun when he's not playing tennis matches or basketball. Nick Kyrgios hits back at irrelevant Pat Rafter after Pat Rafter calls for a ban. And a little bit more journalistic malpractice here because Pat Rafter didn't say there should be a ban of Nick Kyrgios. I think they need to ban him right away. Pat Rafter said, I'm surprised they haven't banned him. You think they probably will. He was speculating that they probably will. And then he did say something I could see Nick Kyrgios being upset about, that basically you have to decide what's more important, people buying tickets to see Nick Kyrgios or holding up the rule of law, for lack of a better word. I can't remember exactly what Pat Rafter said, but do you want to enforce the rules or do you want to let Kyrgios get away with stuff because he sells tickets? That's basically what Pat Rafter said. Mild criticism of fellow Aussie Nick Kyrgios. Kyrgios responded on Twitter, favorite place of Nick Kyrgios and President Trump, probably because everywhere I play, the stadiums are sold out and the events make money with me around, ? Like the That's probably why I'm not suspended, Patty Rafter. Not surprised, Rafter has commented on this topic. Guy loves hanging fellow Aussies out to dry. Enjoy staying relevant, champ. A little jab from Nick Kyrgios in the end. Here's what Rafter said. I don't understand why it hasn't happened, why he isn't suspended. There's obviously something going on behind the scenes. I don't know, but at what stage do you say the crowd is more important, or are you trying to uphold a certain standard or protocol for players to adhere to, aka rule of law? Nick Kyrgios calling him irrelevant. You're irrelevant, Pat. Go away. It's basically what Nick Trump Kyrgios said. I mean, direct hit. Take a look at this comment. I love this comment. No looks. Volley poppers. Even Pete had a good comment on that technique on that forehand volley, which I have been enjoying better forehand volleys. Doing a clinic this weekend, by the way. Real quick. Do this real quick. Novak Djokovic brought on a trailer a cryogenic chamber to freeze himself in at the U.S. Open. Did I say that right? Hyperbolic chamber. You know, that's like the thing Michael Jackson used to go to sleep in at night. It's weird. Novak Djokovic. This looks weird. Now, it says in here that going back to 2011, Djokovic has done this before, but let's just take a listen. Tennis365.com. Who knows if we can trust this? This could be all fake. Who knows? I think it's all right. Novak Djokovic took drastic measures to manage his then unknown shoulder injury at the U.S. Open. The Daily Mail have claimed, okay, at least it came from somewhere else. Now it has emerged that Djokovic took his own oxygen chamber with him in a tractor trailer. The article reads from the Daily Mail, it is decidedly uncommon for someone to bring a hyperbaric chamber to have it there. I don't even know what it really is. I think it's what Michael Jackson used to go to sleep in to keep his skin looking fresh and young and weird. He is also said to have brought in the lorry at other events. That's like some British talk for a tractor trailer or some kind of thing to lug your chamber in, to other events in North America this year, such as Indian Wells and Cincinnati. Spokesperson from the U.S. Tennis Association, which runs the U.S. Open, confirmed to Sports Mail that his tractor trailer was standing in a car park by the Hall of Science, one of the museums located in the park around Flushing Meadows. A spokesperson for the player did not respond to the inquiries about Djokovic. What the heck is up with your weird hyperbaric chamber? It's weird. But hey, whatever you got to do to be a great champion. Maybe Federer does it, but he don't do it in the parking lot at the U.S. Open. That has bad optics. All right, we're running out of time. Last thing, Laver Cup schedule. We start off tomorrow, 1 p.m. 1 p.m. over there, East Coast time if you live around me on the East Coast of the USA. I believe that'll be like a 7 a.m. start time over here. So we got Dominic Thiem and El Chapo, followed by Fabio Fognini versus Jack Sock, with a night session of Tsitsipas versus Taylor Fritz. That should be fun. And then Federer and Sasha Zverev versus Chapo and Jack Sock. That's what we start with. There's matches on Saturday and Sunday. If you're new to Laver Cup, flash is coming on screen. I love this. Sometimes we read one word. Sometimes we read, don't worry. We recycle all that stuff. Sometimes we only read a word. So this weekend, I'm doing a clinic with Crunch Time Coaching's Peter Freeman. That's why my volley technique looks better, because a couple weekends ago, we did one of these 3-day clinics where I'm on court 24 hours with 8 awesome people, and Pete as well. Me and Pete are the coaches. We have 8 people coming to better their tennis games, and I'm doing that this weekend, and it's very intense. We are on court all day, Friday, Saturday. Mr. Goat's making noise. Maybe you can hear him. Friday and Saturday, we're on court all day. Sunday, we're on court, not as long, but still 4 hours on court, I think, Sunday. And then we go out and hang out with everyone at night. It is a lot of fun to do a Crunch Time Coaching clinic. If you've never done it, look into one. They're pretty awesome. Because of that, I will not be very available this weekend. So I will only do late night shows. I'll try to do one each day after Laver Cup day play concludes, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you're a patron saint, you can see it. The link will be at patreon.com/coffeebreaktennis. If you're not a patron saint, don't worry. You can go there, support the show, help us grow. Go to patreon.com/coffeebreaktennis. You'll see the schedule there. You'll have the link, the secret link, if you are a member. If you sign up on our Patreon, it's very, very cheap. If you want to do it, you can do it for as little as $2 a month, or you can choose to do more. If you really want to help the show grow, we appreciate all of our patron saints very much. Go there if you want the weekend shows. Otherwise, we still love you. If you can't afford to be a patron saint, or you're not ready to make the emotional commitment yet, we'll be back Monday to talk all about the Laver Cup and what happened. And if you want to hear what happens sooner, go to patreon.com/coffeebreaktennis. See ya! P.S. Don't believe any fake tennis news, please. Especially about Federer's retirement.